It's not a secret that I'm a Magic the Gathering player on a budget. I have a video titled 7 Tips for Magic the Gathering Players on a Budget. So when I do a deck tech, it is almost always a deck I have or can afford. Griswold and other niche commanders can really break this price point, and it got me thinking, is there an unusual deck that I could only one day dream of owning? A deck so expensive I may have to lose a kidney to purchase it, but the thought of owning it is just marvelous? I dare say I have found a deck that fits this mold. God Tribal. Today we are breaking the bank with gods, playing all sorts of masterpieces, foils, and fun stuff. First we need to choose a commander. Many gods have their own unique effects, so we don't need only tribal synergies, but cards that play off of their commonalities. All gods are either indestructible or they come back in some way. This may suggest Child of Alara as our commander, but we can play effects like this in 99. It doesn't need to be our commander, especially if it has to die for us to get the effect we want. Which leaves us with several options, all of course being 5 color because we want to play all the gods that we can in this deck. We could play the most recent Niv Mizzet, and we could get a lot of cards off of the Theros era gods. They are 2 colors. But once again, we are still searching for a more synergistic and powerful commander. This leaves us with 2 real options remaining. We could play Morophon and get a constant discount on our creatures, or we could play Corona False God. Corona is a flavor win, as she is literally a god, but she's not. And when she attacks, she can boost all of our gods that also attack. So how can we choose? We can look at mana requirements first, but since this is a break the bank deck tech, we can afford to make the best mana base possible. However, even with an amazing mana base, we may not always get our commander out when we want to. So Morophon is a safer option. Additionally, Morophon can help us get to the place where we can go off with playing many gods a turn and probably not have the color mana matter. We still include Corona in the deck, but we are going to try Morophon as the commander. Now we move into choosing the gods. 99 slots in a deck to fill may seem like a lot, but trust me, it's not. This means we need to choose the correct gods to play, as not all gods are created equal. Aetherios, God of the Passage, is a solid include as it can bring back any of our creatures in the chance that they can and do die. Even if our opponents choose to pay 3 life, we can slowly drain our opponents and attack them with the indestructible creatures to the point where 3 life is just too risky to take. In alphabetical order, the next god is Bantu the Glorified. However, we really shouldn't be playing Bantu in this deck, as we are in no way going to sacrifice our own gods just to attack with a 5/5. We may create tokens, but needing to sacrifice one every turn just to attack or block, due to the fact that once again our gods are going to be mostly indestructible, is really not worth the include. Ifara, God of the Polis, and Erebos, God of the Dead, are both amazing in here because of their abilities to draw us cards, and Erebos can start to put a lock on the game. If our creatures are hard to kill, then another major strategy of this deck should be to try to stop our opponents from getting back in the game. God Eternal Bantu can be included if you're playing with death triggers or lots of tokens, but once again, sacrificing is not something good for this deck. God Eternal Kefnet is a good card for this deck because we can definitely clone our removal, ramp, card draw, or even our tutors. God Eternal Oketra is definitely just a broken card, as it will in fact make many tokens. However, I need to remind everyone that 1 token card, or even 5 in a deck, does not warrant a token strategy. God Eternal Ronus is a game finisher and one of the best cards we could have as a finisher due to it being a god. Hazoret the Fervent should also not be played in this deck. I understand how tempting it is to throw every single god in this deck and call it a day, but we have to value every slot in the deck, especially due to the amount of colors we can play. Heliod, God of the Sun, is being slotted in this deck for its ability to, yes, create tokens, but let me remind you this is only the 2nd token-related card in the deck. Besides this, Heliod is great at making sure we leave blockers up to his Vigilance ability. When a new card swings in this deck, it swings big, and that card is Ilharg the Razeboar. This card brings another god with it whenever we attack. Iroas, God of Victory, helps out with making our opponents unable to interact with our creatures in the form of damage spells when we attack, and not only dealing damage, but also hitting hard decks with small, valuable creatures like a young Pyromancer. Karametra, God of Harvests, is a solid and key piece of our ramp package, as it is not only a god and a creature, but one with a relevant effect. Kefnet the Mindful seems fun, but not good enough, frankly. The monocolor doesn't optimize the help with the devotion, the attack clause is very hard to achieve, unfortunately, and 4 mana with a downside to draw a card just doesn't excite me, so this is a no-go. Karanos, God of Storms will either be a possible way of removing threats, or it will be a card draw engine when interacting with other cards in the stack, especially Erebos, who also lets us draw cards on everyone's turn. Kruphix, God of Horizons, is also mana ramp as well as letting us draw any number of cards and keep them. Mogus, God of Slaughter, may not single-handedly win the game, but it will either keep our opponent's creature count low or most likely do a number on their life total. Nylea, God of the Hunt, will keep our creatures large and make sure they aren't dealt with by a simple blocker. Oketra the True is just simply not mana efficient enough, end of story. Freaka, God of Affliction, should be slotted in to either give ourselves Death Touch blockers or get rid of problematic cards we face. Freaka can also help shutting down opponents and making a lock on the game. Phaenax, God of Deception, is the next god up to the chopping block. If we play him, we can potentially attack and mill, and having a lot of mana efficient creatures means we can mill very well, especially if our creatures gain vigilance, so we will play Phaenax. Perforos, God of the Forge, will take advantage of every creature played, and for 3 mana we can help launch that final attack or just increase damage from an attack. Speaking of increasing attack, we play Ronus the Indomitable. Ronus should always be able to attack in this deck, and should be making sure every attack is successful. And Ronus can help us along with his friend, Thassa, God of the Sea. Thassa is going to make sure Ronus can do his job by making creatures unblockable. With only 4 gods left, we can begin with the 3-hour Devastation gods. The Locust and Scarab gods are worth an include due to the number of tokens they can both create and the added effects, in this case of card draw and recursion. The Scorpion god is a more complicated decision as to if it should be included, because -1/-1 counters aren't relevant in this deck, but 3 mana to put 1/1/-1 counter on is not good at all, but it is doable. So do we play this card? It's a 5 mana 6/5, which is good enough, but it lacks indestructible, and the recursion still makes you play it again. The -1 counters can kill indestructible, which is actually a liability if the god is somehow targeted by a blatant thievery. Not that this will be the right card to take, but still. So we will not include this god. We will, however, include Xenagos, God of Revels. Xenagos will always keep us on the offensive and combos away with Thassa. Now it's time to move on to the non-god creatures. Corona, False God, is going to help us with these big attacks we've been talking about, and the flavor is great, or awful. It is a false god. But we need to be super careful with this card that our opponents don't kill us with it. In this deck, we want to play as many effects on permanents as possible because they add up to our devotion. Child of Alara is a great board wipe in the form of a creature. Sisay, Weatherlight Captain, can tutor up the perfect god for what we need constantly. Niv Mizzet Reborn can pad out our hand with so many gods. Perfect. Kethis, the Hidden Hand, will discount all of our creatures and help with the devotion, so it is also perfect in this deck. Captain Sisay is a repeatable tutor in this deck as it grabs everything we need. Maelstrom Angel is such a powerful effect as it cascades more and more gods onto the battlefield. Now we move on to our other mana ramp. The rest of the mana ramp in this deck, besides what we already have in Kethis, Kruphix, Karametra, we need to play things that help with our devotion or get a lot of mana so we can play our commander early. We can play Exploration and Burgeoning as 2 effects that ramp us and give us more devotion. Chromatic Lantern, Mana Crypt, Mana Vault, and Soul Ring all ramp us well with the lantern making color of mana irrelevant. Mirari's Wake and Zendikar Resurgent are 2 enchantments that double our mana and are both very valuable in general. Mox Amber seems broken in this deck because of how inexpensive mana-wise gods are. Now we're going to move on to the key pieces of the deck. A main tribal synergy of gods, a recursion, but we'll talk more about board wipes later, and we'll also talk about tutors, card draw, and removal later. But this section is about the pieces that tie this deck together. Some other tribal synergies, and especially the things that protect us. Ghostly Prison is going to protect us so that we can all outswing with optimal effect. I know what you're thinking. Hey, you could play an enchantment deck. And my response to that would be an enchantment deck is not a god tribal deck. However, yes, we will play Sphere of Safety because of the type of effect we want. And yes, we do play a lot of enchantment creatures. Hero's Podium is bonkers in this deck as it will boost all of our creatures so much. Urza's Incubator should be in the ramp section, but it also has tribal synergies and helps our commander get out sooner. The next card in this section is Vanquisher's Banner, as it will aid us in drawing lots and lots and lots of cards. Propaganda and Privileged Position reinforce us never being interacted with or attacked again. Nicol Bolas, Dragon God, can ultimate and win us the game if it survives long enough to do so, and the other moves are also great. This static ability may be able to clone, if you will, other planeswalkers, but probably not our own. The last key pieces are Herald's Horn and Kindred Summons, other great tribal cards with the potential to not only change, but win the game. Now we have our card draw and our tutors. Rhystic Study is one of the best cards in EDH, and in this deck it is no different. It not only provides devotion, but a hand for us. The only issue with this card is remembering to always ask, do you pay 1? Or, ooh, you drew a card, do you pay 1? Bring to Light may only be good in a 5-color deck, but luckily we get the chance to play it in this one and try it out. Demonic Tutor is just an amazing tutor, and Conflux is the best tutor we can run in this deck. It searches for 5 cards, even if it does cost 8 mana. Vampiric Tutor is just an amazing card, and I really want to try it out. I've seen it played, and it is an amazing card. Now we are on to our removal. In removal we play Swords to Plowshares, Path to Exile, Assassin's Trophy, Despark, Beast Within, and Generous Gift. These are all targeted removal cards we have chosen to play. You can change exactly what you want to play, but the idea is that we take some of the best removal pieces in the game and put them here. On to board wipes. Board wipes are a key to our success. If we wipe the board, it is almost always a one-sided board wipe because we are playing with gods that have indestructible. So we have loaded it up on Wrath of God, Supreme Verdict, Urza's Ruinous Blast, Damnation, Austere Command, and Fumigate. On to our land base. This part of our land base are the utility lands. When it comes to our land base, we of course have to make sure that we are playing the right lands to ensure that we can play cards. But we should also be able to have a couple of valuable effects. Temple of the False God ramps us into playing Morophon even quicker, something important for this deck. Ancient Tomb is another great ramp piece, and speaking of lands who ramp, Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx. After all, a devotion is a major part of this deck. On to our land base with the fixings. We play one of each basic land type for if we need them. Path of Ancestry is going to let us peer at the top cards of our library whenever we play some of our creatures, which is a great ability in general, especially just for a land. Command Tower, City of Brass, Exotic Orchard, and Reflecting Pool should all be able to give us mana of any color to play whatever we need to play and help us enable this deck. Unclaimed Territory and Cavern of Souls both help us cast creature spells, while the Cavern even helps with the ever-returning theme of making sure that our opponents can do absolutely nothing about the onslaught we are creating. Oh yeah, you also can't forget about the Mana Confluence we have decided to play. In the last 20 spots, we play all 10 Shocklands, and we play all 10 fetches. A man can dream, right? In conclusion, this deck is extremely unique as it not only offers to break your bank, but it also offers to allow you to play a tribe that you never really knew was a tribe, but almost every single card with that creature type or tribe is good. The deck seems not only fun, but powerful in many ways. So thank you guys so much for watching. I will post the list I made in the description below and a video pretty soon about the changes coming to the channel and the future of the channel. Thank you so much for watching once again, and have a great day.